finally making my dandelion wine. I started way too late in the season. There are hardly any left, but there were enough for me to make one batch. I probably would have had made two because I made one huge mistake in the beginning. So stay tuned, watch this video, and you'll see what mistake I made. But let's keep our fingers crossed. It's now fermenting for 3 weeks, and I just hope that we're gonna have some good dandelion wine. And oh my God, look at this. I was in the garden and I'm just covered in mosquito bites. They're real bad. Okay, so I've got a box of roughly 16 cups of dandelion. We're gonna actually measure properly and make sure that all the little stems are off of them. Okay, so now we're, how do you call that, stemming, or taking the stems off of the...
Taking the flower off the stem.
Yeah, taking the flower off of the stems, and this is a long job. Now the funny story is I did make the wine, or half of it, and realized that no, these leaves and the stems really need to be taken off, or else the wine is going to be very bitter. So we had to go and pick some more and start over again, and now our fingers are all yellow and yucky. Okay, so now we have 16 cups of these dandelion petals, I guess they're called. It was long, like really long, and our fingers are all yellow, but hopefully it'll be worth it. So I'm boiling some water, and I'm gonna put 16 cups of boiling water in here, and I'm gonna let it sit for 48 hours. You wanna try and make sure that there's the least little, see those little green leaves there, the least green in there as possible. Like there is some, it's sometimes unavoidable. It's gonna just add a little bit of bitterness, but we're gonna hope for the best. See this? This is what it's supposed to look like when you take the stems off and you pluck them properly. You don't necessarily peel them off by the back like many say you should do. You kind of have to pluck them until you get the middle of the flower. And this is my pile. See how I wasted a lot of them? This is Scotty's pile. Okay, so it's in my little cupboard here in the summer kitchen. Okay, so I'm filtering the liquid from the soaked dandelion, and look how dark it is. On top you can see it's yellowish, but that means there was too much green still in there, which there was very minimal. We, tried to take care of taking all of the little green leaves off, but some of them got in there, and I probably just soaked it too long. So I think this is a fail, guys. Sorry to say this, I've never made it before. Okay, so next you're gonna need 5.5 cups of sugar. There's only 2 in there, but you're gonna need 5.5. You're gonna need 3 oranges, 3 lemons, and a cup of raisins, and I'm using the Sun-Made organic raisins here that are the green ones. Of course, you're going to want to slice all your oranges and lemons before putting them into your solution. So it's looking more yellow now that I have it in the pan. It's hard to say because of the light here. So we're going to give it a go. Okay, so it's been boiling for half an hour now, so I'm going to take it out to the summer kitchen and I'm going to let it cool, and I have to say it looks nice and it smells real good. Alright guys, so this is definitely going to be a very sweet version of the dandelion wine, because I actually forgot about it once it cooled down last night, so we're now the next day, and it's just been steeping that much longer, so the oranges and the lemons the flavors will probably come out way more. So I'm gonna I'm gonna strain it properly so we get all these little floaties out of there, which are just from the fruit, and then we're gonna add the dry yeast. And so judging just by the smell of this, actually, it just smells sweet and beautiful. And look, the color is nice now. Remember how dark it was in the beginning, and now it's a nice light yellow. Imagine that. So I got my sifter here. It's actually my milk strainer. It's been washed very well, and I'm just going to continue on doing this until I fill up my jar. All right, guys, so I'm done filtering it through just the milk filter and a mesh filter like this, and I still see a little bit of residue, like a little bit of the orange peel. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to strain it through this pillow case that is clean, and I'm just going to hang it on there and let it drip until I do the last part. Okay, so I almost forgot something. I'm going to actually warm it up a little bit so that it activates the yeast, but not too warm, just about just a little tiny over room temperature so that it doesn't destroy the yeast. So it's going to be actually more like room temperature, but because it was out in my summer kitchen, I find it too cold. And so I decided to just warm it up just a little bit. Okay, so now I have, I've sifted this, filtered it about 4 or 5 times now, and as you can see, this is pretty much the color. Looks like iced tea, maybe a little lighter. Right now it looks darker on camera, and don't mind the asparagus. This has nothing to do with this recipe. I just harvested those just now, and so I'm about to, now I've warmed it up to a little more than room temperature, and I'm going to add my dry yeast, and I'm using Bob's Red Mill active dry yeast. So it calls for 1 tablespoon, so I gotta kind of spread that evenly between both, and I can't be doing this with 2 hands, so just okay. So we're gonna do most of it in here, and then about this much in here. Gonna let it sit. I might maybe add just a little more in this one. Just like to cover the top there. That should be good. Okay, perfect. And so now I'm going to cover these with coffee filters and some hair ties. And here we go. So this is going to ferment for 3 weeks before I strain it again and bottle it up, because then we're going to let it sit for about 4 months, 3 to 4 months. So probably it'll be good for around Christmas time. So it's going to sit in my summer kitchen in a dark space for 3 weeks. Okay, so I actually put them in my wood stove because I figured, hey, we're not using it anymore. It's a nice dark space for it, and it's going to be just the right room temperature for fermenting. And so that's it. Let's hope that everything goes well, and in 3 weeks we've got some good ferment so we can bottle it up, and then come Christmas, maybe even come Thanksgiving, we might have some good dandelion wine. Now this batch here, however, as you can see, is darker, and I think it's because of the oranges, and it's probably going to be sweeter, but hey, if it turns out to be brandy, I mean, maybe I just invented a new recipe. This recipe, however, I'd like to just specify, I'm going to write it in the comments below, is a recipe from Ricardo. So if you want to check out his recipe, maybe I didn't do it exactly the way he did it, and I did add those raisins in there. That was in his recipe, but by leaving it sit for longer, like overnight, instead of actually straining it yesterday, I'm thinking it's going to be sweeter because of the fruit that was in there. But that's okay, we like sweet. All right guys, take care till next time.